Howdy, howdy. Welcome on in to the pre-show before the free show, and we are back.
We are back. Look at us. Look at us. We survived the weekend.
Not me.
Hope everyone had a good long weekend. One thing I was thinking this weekend, and I think this every Memorial Day weekend, Happy Memorial Day seems like we got to do better as a greeting. Mm-hmm. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's like
it's a day of remembrance.
Yeah, it's not supposed to be like
happy.
It's like, don't get me wrong. I'm happy that I didn't have to go to work on Monday.
Right.
But I don't know. It's like it's like a somber affair. It's like a reflective affair.
It needs a thank you.
There's
not a happy.
We've got to do better than we just throw happy onto everything, and it's like Happy Flag Day. It's like I don't know. Like what's
Flag Day is happy though.
That's a weird.
You told me you specifically took off for Flag Day,
I tell
to
you
get
a lot of
ready.
things that aren't true.
Yeah, I know. Why do you not lie to everyone else, but you lie to me?
It's fun. It's a victimless crime. I don't know. It's great. Anyway, that was something I was thinking of this weekend. You were first of all,
Yeehaw.
Congratulations to Jake Pickle.
Yeah.
Now a graduate.
Yes, college boy.
Get a job.
Yeah.
Get a haircut. I mean that part.
Go. You pick and choose your battles, man.
Get a job. Get
You
a
know
haircut.
that. You're gonna learn that real quick with Hank. The older he gets, there are battles as a parent that you pick and choose, and that's one of them.
Shake my fist.
Old man yells at cloud.
Yeah. So you had a fun trip back down to Lileno?
Yes, I did. Great graduation, in and out in about less than an hour. Honestly, I think there were
good.
86 total kids that walked the stage, so didn't take long. Then great graduation party. Awesome to see family that we hadn't seen in so long, and good food. Caught a big ol' fish, so yeah, it was good.
I caught a big old fish.
Yeah, did you see my hybrid that I caught?
No,
on the gram?
I didn't.
Oh man.
Did I? I don't know.
I caught about a 3-pound hybrid.
Wow.
It was nice.
How about it?
Yeah.
What kind of lure did you use?
Just a regular crankbait.
You could literally tell me anything, and I'd be like, that sounds right.
It wasn't actually a crankbait. We were using
fish guy
anyway,
over
yeah,
here.
We don't even need.
Yeah, we had a nice weekend.
The zoo.
We went to the zoo. Hank got to go to the zoo.
Did he get to see the lemurs?
First place we went.
Let's
was
go.
Lemur Lookout. Got to see the lemurs. He was fired up. Got to see the lemurs. There were about 5 of them. He was pointing at them. He was having a good time. Stuff like that. Saw a lot of animals. Saw an elephant. He has a tough time distinguishing between. Once we got to the zoo, they obviously, as you can probably imagine, they have a lot of artwork around the zoo, like statues and paintings and stuff like that of animals.
Right.
It's a zoo.
That's kind of why you go to the zoo.
He had a hard time distinguishing.
Real
like we were walking
in
and there's a really nice sculpture of a couple of elephants.
Okay.
And he was like, "Real elephants," and I'm like, "No, we're not there. No, we're not there yet, buddy.
We're getting there.
We gotta get better."
We're
we
warming up.
got there and we got to see the giraffes. We're at the place where they had an African savanna, and so they've got giraffes walking around, and he's like, "Wow, amazing." He's seeing elephants. They're walking around. Man, amazing. There's also one of the. I was telling you this, but they had there's I'm gonna butcher it, but it was some sort of antelope or gazelle type thing. It has long spiral horns.
Was it like an axis deer?
Maybe something like that. Something from.
If it's spiral, I think it might be an axis
from
deer.
Africa, some kind. But got the spiral thing, had an ostrich running around, but had that, and he goes reindeer, and I was like,
we're in the right.
we'll count it. Yeah,
idea.
That counts. But the one thing though, it was a great time at the zoo.
Mm-hmm.
But we're looking at these elephants, right? We're looking at this majestic creature just stomping around. Boom.
Which I was going to say, as old, it doesn't matter how old you get. Elephants are cool to look at.
Elephants and giraffes just hanging out.
Because you just don't see them.
Very cool. You see them, and we've been looking at it for a couple minutes, and then he turns to me and he goes, "I want to see a cow." And I was like, "Well, buddy,
we could have walked down the street and saw one of those.
We can see a cow. Probably not here. I don't think they have a cow.
I could have not spent money
here.
and we could have looked at cows.
He wanted to see a cow and a horse, And it's like, I get it, because it's like it's first time at the zoo. He's been looking at animal books for his entire life.
Right.
And he just thinks, this is where all the animals are. Where is a pig? You know what I mean? Like, I want to see a chicken or a pigeon. And I'm like, yeah, we can see those, but we don't have to go to a zoo for that, brother. Like, we can just go down the street and there's a cow. We can go see that. Like, we don't live in, like, the sticks, but, like, there's cows available to you, my friend. I think I drive by 3 cows on the way to work here
and that's
day.
living in city,
I'm living in suburbia, America. I'm living in that cul-de-sac.
And I can still provide you with a cow.
Exactly. I can do cow. Anyway, it was a great time at the
I'm
at
so
the zoo.
happy he got to see. Was he super happy to see the lemurs? So, like, was there an insurmountable amount of joy?
He thought it was super cool.
Okay,
he was like, I was like,
this is what's up.
Like, he looked at it and I was like, what is that? And he goes, it's a lemur. And he's just kind of looking at it and stuff like that. I was like, oh, it's really here. Like,
yeah.
Anyway.
Like, I got to get hyped about it, and the hypeness came to fruition.
He also thought the flamingos were cool.
I like that.
He liked the flamingos. And
colors. Big color guy.
Yeah. It's a good time. So hippopotamus. It's great. Good time.
Stuff.
All right, hit the theme expo. Let's go! Free money!
How to sing blues, baby. Shot glass in your hand.
Yes, y'all. From the Dave Campbell's Texas Football Mothership here in beautiful Louisville, Texas. It's Texas Football Today, your Texas football blanket fort. My name is Greg Tepper. I'm the managing editor of Dave Campbell's Texas Football, a magazine. TexasFootball.com, a corresponding website. Thank you for spending part of your day with us. Whether you're watching us live at TexasFootball.com, Facebook, YouTube, or Twitch. Are we still doing those things?
Yeah, they're on.
Okay. Or you're listening to us on the podcast, which you can subscribe to on the podcast vendor of your choice. Either way, thank you for doing your part to support your local mediocre internet show. I am sitting over there at the helm today, making us sound good. She is the Duchess of the Dorks. She is Ashley Pickle. It's a Lake Girl Pickle.
Yeah. It's hashtag Lake Season. Oh, I didn't switch my board around.
What
I gotta
board?
do that. The board I told you about, they'll wake me up when it's lake season. It's officially lake season, and I didn't switch it when I got home last night.
Oh.
I gotta come up with a new saying.
You gotta come, yeah. I mean, you've been...
If someone wants to suggest what I should put on my letter board at home, let me know.
That's fine. So, happy lake season, everybody. Today's Monday, June 1st, 2021, 177 days till Thanksgiving. For our new bit.
Drum roll.
We're going to do dates instead of numbers. So
on this date in Rangers history?
No.
Oh.
Happy birthday.
Oh.
Santana Moss.
Okay.
Former Washington football team receiver. He's 42 today. Happy birthday, Santana Moss.
Fantastic.
This is episode 1176. It's going to be weird not to do Ranger numbers. It's going to be weird. On today's show, I don't know, this is everybody's first, every episode is somebody's first episode. And so I'm like, I just imagine people are like, what is going on? On today's show, friends, we've got headlines from across the state, including Texas Tech has done something that makes me very angry. And we'll discuss why coming up here. And then back half of the show, we will be joined by Javi Cardenas. Javi Cardenas is the publisher over at birdsup.com for the rival site for UTSA. We're going to talk about them Roadrunners. A little bit of UTSA football coming up here with Javi Cardenas on the back half of the show for UTSA State of the Program. Do we have first four through the door, Mademoiselle Pickle?
Sure do. It was Tony Blaylock, Andrew Christensen, Aaron Flynn, and Lance Pickle, who... him and Trish are yelling at me in the comments because we used an umbrella rig to catch the fish. So thanks for getting me in trouble.
That sounds made up, but I'm going to nod and say, yep, that sounds...
It's got a bunch of little fishes on it. Like, it comes out like an umbrella. Use your imagination.
That seems like cheating.
It's in the name.
Seems like cheating. Seems like you're tricking the fish.
That's exactly what we're doing, yeah. That's actually entirely what fishing is made out of.
I think we should level the playing field. I think you should just have to grab it with your bare hands. Okay. Before we get into it, a reminder that this is a very special week. On Friday,
Friday.
the official cover reveal of the 2021 summer edition of Dave Campbell's Texas Football, right here live on Texas Football Today, is presented by our good friends at Home Field Apparel, homefieldapparel.com. And they've got big doings coming up here soon. I think Saturday.
Drop some merch.
Saturday? Yeah. Sometime very soon. They're going to drop some big time merch.
Yeah.
So homefieldapparel.com, super comfortable shirts with awesome old school logos. So if you're like a fan of old school logos, and you know that we are, homefieldapparel.com. Go check out those. And the shirts are super comfortable. They're also
soft.
They're
yes. very soft.
They are also the presenting sponsor of the cover reveal coming up here on Friday here on Texas Football Today. Tell your friends. Just write it on a carrier pigeon to your friends. Say, tune in to texasfootball.com/live and then attach it to a pigeon and let them fly to your friend.
Yeah. Or message in a bottle because it's Lake Sizzin.
That's right. All right, Pickle, let's get some headlines from across the state. We're going to start with something that made me very angry.
Okay.
I'm incensed. I'm furious.
Let it out.
Furious.
This is therapy
at
hour.
the Texas Tech Red Raiders. Because you may remember.
You were mad at the Mean Green.
I was.
Last week.
You may remember that on a Friday, we sent the 2021 summer edition of Dave Campbell's Texas Football to press. Yay!
We did. Good time.
Yay.
Great day.
The next day.
Less than 24 hours later.
After the magazine has been sent to press.
Less than 24 hours.
They announced, or Kalen Geiger, I should say, announced on Twitter that he is transferring to Texas Tech. And you may be thinking, I don't know a Kalen Geiger. Mm-hmm. That's okay. Kalen Geiger is transferring from Troy to Texas Tech. He is a Fort Worth guy. And this is he is a two-time all Sun Belt wide receiver. He's one of the very best receivers in the Sun Belt. The Fun Belt is what we're fond of saying. He's going to be closer to home in Fort Worth, but last year he caught 64 passes in 11 games. He was the Sun Belt Newcomer of the Year in 2019. This is a big-time get for the wide receiver core there at Tech, which already boasts Eric Ezukanma and a couple of other outstanding wide receivers. Mm-hmm. They are getting loaded on the outside for Tyler Shugg and company. Kalen Geiger, the newest weapon for Texas Tech, he is transferring from Troy to Texas Tech.
So guess who's not going to be in the depth chart?
And he's not going to be in the magazine.
Thanks, bud.
Cool. Thanks for doing that, Kalen. Couldn't do that like 3 days before.
Even like 2 hours before we sent would have worked. We could have figured something out.
We could have scrambled. But anyway, Kalen Geiger is transferring to Texas Tech from Troy. That is a big get for them. Another big piece of news, and we knew this was coming on the calendar, but today's June 1st.
Fact. Pickle. Are you back on Twitter?
No.
Okay.
Today's June 1st, and that means the dead period is over. For recruiting.
Yeah.
The dead period, of course, has been in effect since,
15
March
months?
2020.
I believe the count, I think it's 15 months.
Yes, it is officially coming to an end. It started on, after spending 14 months, they're saying.
14, okay. I guess because
so
about
sometime
half of March.
maybe in April, but yeah, the dead period, the recruiting dead period, which basically meant that you could not do official and unofficial visits, things like that. That is over. You can now do official visits and unofficial visits, and I would anticipate that you are going to see a flurry of recruiting activity coming up in the next couple of months, just because it's the first time these guys can get on campus, first time they can really talk face-to-face with coaches, things like that.
I'm interested to see how many decommitments and or flips we have.
I think it's going to be
only imagine if they've committed somewhere and they go, oh, you know what? I could miss school and go check out this other campus. Ooh, I really like this. It's about to be flippin' season.
Let's put it this way: we're going to talk with Greg Powers, the Next Level Athlete, tomorrow on This Week in Recruiting, and I'm very interested in getting his take on what the end of the dead period is going to do. But this is people are calling it Christmas in June.
Yeah.
The dead period is officially over after 15 months, so keep an eye on the recruiting world.
Exciting stuff.
Other people I'm mad at.
Are you ever happy with, I don't know, anyone?
Although I guess they did it before the magazine got done, so we were able to go and change a lot of these things. But
so you can't complain too much.
watch me. Burnett's made a hire.
Yes.
Burnett, of course, Jared Rye left Burnett. They have made a pretty splashy hire. They have hired Shallow Waters, Brian Wood, to be their new head coach. That is pretty big doings there for Burnett, getting a coach with a lot of skins on the wall there in Brian Wood. So that would mean that Shallow Water is open. I believe we did get that in the magazine. That was pretty late. I want to say that was like Wednesday.
Thursday.
Yeah, Wednesday,
is
Thursday.
when they announced
when it was
yeah.
official.
And I can tell you from being down in that area, Burnett people are very excited
They
about
should be.
that.
They should be. Burnett, I mean, this is a guy who's 188 and 67 in his career. He made his hay really at Canyon Randall and Shallow Water, but he was at Pampa, he was at Sunray, he was at Rotan. But he will be heading to the Hill Country, to Burnett, to be the head coach.
Burn it, learn it.
The Bulldogs. So that is big doings there. But Shallow Water now is open and should be an interesting job. Other kind of last-minute hires that happened last week. Houston Chavez has hired Pasadena Domi assistant Sergio Gonzalez to be their new head coach. Haltom, Irving. I believe that's Irving. David Munoz. Irving, the Tigers. David Munoz is going to be the new head coach at Irving High. He replaces Eric De Los Santos, who resigned. This is a program kind of in need of a jolt, but he is of course was the Haltom defensive coordinator. Irving MacArthur has hired a Hebron tight end coach and former Irving MacArthur assistant, Beck Nicholas, to be their Nicholas.
I think it's Nicholas. Yeah.
Beck Nicholas to be their new head coach. Down in the Killeen area in Central Texas, Killeen Ellison has hired a familiar name, former Odessa High coach and former Lubbock Estacado coach, Danny Servants, is going to be the new head coach at Killeen Ellison. So going a little bit further east, moving back towards Central Texas. But Killeen Ellison has new head coach in Danny Servants. Paris North Lamar out in northeast Texas, has hired Pittsburgh offensive coordinator Brenton Whitaker to be their new head coach. And finally, Edgewood has hired Sulphur Springs defensive coordinator Alex Guerra to be their new head coach. This is a guy who had been a head coach at La Villa and San Antonio Memorial, so he does have head coaching experience, but he will now get back in the head coaching game. After a couple of years as the defensive coordinator of Sulphur Springs, he will be the new head coach at Edgewood. And finally, Pickle.
Yes.
It was another big weekend of 7-on-7 action. The state qualifying tournaments roll on. We are just a couple of weeks. 3 weeks.
3 weeks out.
3 weeks out from the state 7-on-7 tournament in College Station. But we are continuing to qualify teams through state qualifying tournaments. Down in the Houston area at the Woodlands. Let's see. I need to figure out who qualified because SoStaff, if you're in the comments, let me know. But the Woodlands and the a lot of the finals got canceled.
Yes.
Because big weather was rolling through. And so I do not know off the top of my head who qualified from the Woodlands.
I don't think I saw the Woodlands results.
In Lubbock, out in the South Plains, Wolford Friendship beats Lubbock Estacado in the final to qualify, so the Tigers are through, as is El Paso Eastwood. The Troopers beat Abilene to qualify for the tournament, so they're through.
The Woodlands SQT is postponed, and they will conclude on Wednesday.
Got it.
That's why we didn't see results,
Thank
because
you very
there
much.
were not any.
In Justin, at the Northwest SQT, this was a big tournament.
Yes.
They qualified Hazlitt Eaton, Northwest Eaton, however you want to call them, but the Eaton, VR Eaton High School, they are through, I believe, probably to their first state tournament.
I would believe so. Yeah.
Guess. Frisco Lone Star has qualified as well. Garrett Rangel doing work. They beat Azel in the final, and Killeen Harker Heights also through they beat Trophy Club Byron Nelson.
That means that was 2 back-to-back trips for them. They said they wake up at Coach said 5:30 in the morning to get up to these DFW things. So talk about commitment from Harker Heights down there.
Division 2 at the Needville State Qualifying Tournament, Hampshire Finette is through. They beat Sealy, so congratulations to Hampshire Finette. Rockport Fulton SQT, Pleasanton is through.
There you go, Willie the Wilk.
Former
All-State defensive back.
and Hampshire Finette at the Hampshire Finette SQT, the Woodlands Christian qualified, so they are through to the state qualifying tournament. And Midlothian Heritage, the state qualifying tournament. The hosts qualify in Midlothian Heritage as well as Paris. They beat Stephenville to get through to the state tournament. And then down Division 3 at the Wink SQT. How about those Bucks of Alpine?
How about that?
The Bucks of Alpine are going to make the long long trip from the Big Bend over to College Station. They're through, as is El Dorado. They beat Wink, the hosts, in the final to qualify. At the Rosebud Lot, SQT, Rosebud Lot outlasts Buffalo to win to win their state qualifying round tournament. They're through, as Chilton. Chilton qualifies. And Childress SQT, Childress and Stratford are through to the state tournament. In the Dublin SQT, it was Tolar and Palmer.
Yeah.
Palmer won 7-0 in the final, which is interesting. And then in Poth SQT, it was Falls City who edged host Poth, and Flatonia who beat Natalia.
Big West Texas week.
Yeah.
Also exciting because I believe, if not this weekend, then the next weekend, the RGV tournaments get
the
going.
RGV
so there's
tournaments
two
will
of
get
them
going,
there.
as
So
well as
we'll have some South Texas news for these next couple.
And then I believe we've already got 2 El Paso teams who are qualified.
Yes. Yeah.
And we're going to have more than likely 2 more because there's an El Paso SQT. So we'll probably have 4 El Paso teams at the state tournament.
Yeah,
So
and they're excited because that's one of the only ones they don't they won't be traveling to. Usually they're another long haul everywhere they go.
And of course, we've got the official website for the state State 7-on-7. If you go to TexasFootball.com, we've got that there as well as a lot of other good, fun football things. So TexasFootball.com. We are Texas Football Today. We're here every weekday at noon on TexasFootball.com, talking football in the Lone Star State. You can follow us on Twitter at DCTF, like us on Facebook, Facebook.com/Dave Campbell's. Follow us on Instagram, Instagram.com/Dave Campbell's, and of course, see us at TexasFootball.com. TexasFootball.com is where you can find complete coverage of high school football, college football, and recruiting all across the Lone Star State. I hope you'll consider becoming a Dave Campbell's Texas Football Insider at TexasFootball.com/subscribe. Look, here's the thing. The 2021 summer edition of Dave Campbell's Texas Football, which won't have Kalen Geiger in it, is going to be is being printed right now, actually. Like, the first pages are being printed right now. I'm probably going to get called to do a color check on the cover here in a moment. But it's being printed. If you want the 2021 summer edition of Dave Campbell's Texas Football mailed to you before it hits newsstands, or you live out of state and you just want it mailed to you, period, TexasFootball.com/subscribe is where you can get your 2021 summer edition of Dave Campbell's Texas Football before it hits newsstands. We will mail it to you before it hits newsstands. If you go to TexasFootball.com/subscribe to become a Dave Campbell's Texas Football Insider. A lot of other great stuff, including a year's worth of exclusive online content at TexasFootball.com, including premium podcasts like Tep and Step. We've got computer rankings of every Texas high school football team, computer projections of every Texas high school football game, access to our archives, a lot of great stuff at TexasFootball.com/subscribe. And of course, remember, Friday, the cover reveal presented by our friends at Homefield Apparel. Pickle, we're continuing our series of State of the Program addresses, talking with folks from around the state who know these programs as well as anybody. Let's talk a little bit about one of the hottest teams in the state, the UTSA Roadrunners. A lot to talk about with Jeff Traylor's squad. And here to talk about it, to give the State of the Program address, is Javi Cardenas. Javi Cardenas is with birdsup.com, part of the Rivals Network. Javi, how are you?
Fantastic. Thanks for having me on.
Hey, absolutely. Appreciate your time. I'll start with, I think, a purposefully vague question. There's a lot of talk, there's a lot of buzz around UTSA right now. I know we're excited about them. I know there's a lot of folks around the nation who are paying attention to what's going on at UTSA. As a guy who follows this program as closely as anybody, what would you say is the state of the program right now with the Roadrunners?
I definitely think, optimism. The optimism is there from fans, from people around the program. Just last year, how well everything went. They obviously exceeded expectations. They just seem to be in a very, positive track heading into this year. They return what is essentially their entire team. I don't think they had any major contributors really leave the program from last year, coupled with, a couple transfers they have coming in, and then maybe some that will be joining in the summer. It looks pretty good for them. Whether that translates, into the season is yet to be seen. But there's definitely some optimism that they're going to, be one of the better teams in Conference USA.
I want to ask you about Jeff Traylor. This is a guy that we've known from the high school ranks. Of course, was an assistant at Arkansas and at Texas before he lands his first collegiate head coaching job at UTSA. Can you kind of take us back to when he was hired, what the vibe was around UTSA hiring Jeff Traylor, and maybe if there is a contrast it with what the feeling is now around what Coach Traylor's got cooking down there?
There was definitely some some caution, right? Because what you heard from a lot of fans were we're hiring another running backs coach, right? As was Frank Wilson when he got hired from LSU. Obviously, it's a little different, right? Jeff Traylor had, like you mentioned, all those Texas connections, a history of winning at the high school level, and had been around Texas, the programs around the country a little bit more. Um, but so, with that being said, he did made a great first impression with his press conference. That was fantastic. Just the way he communicated with the fans, with the people around the program, and as the season kind of got going, man, he just things started turning. They started being competitive. They started winning, even in games that they lost. The team was competitive, and that's what a big thing that the program did not have in the last few years of the Wilson era was the team was just not competitive. And even during their struggles during the season, they were still in every single game, maybe a few possessions away. And so, things, started up kind of cautiously optimistic, and then by the end, I think he had everybody bought in into his vision of the program.
Talking with Javi Cardenas at birdsup.com, a little bit about UTSA here on Texas Football Today. Get involved in the conversation, hashtag TF Today. All right, let's talk about this offense. And it strikes me that we are pretty big fans of Sincere McCormick. I think that's a pretty easy fan club to join. What he was able to do. Frank Harris at the quarterback spot, let's say up and down. It strikes me that this offense could be ready for prime time if they can settle in on a quarterback and that quarterback can step up. What is the feeling for you right now around this UTSA offense?
Right. So I think you're spot on when you say kind of the offense does revolve around Sincere McCormick with good reason. Obviously, he's safe to say one of the better running backs in the country right now. But there is a little bit of question mark at the quarterback position. Frank Harris, unfortunately, has a history with injuries that always gives you, some pause, right? Behind him is a guy like Josh Adkins, who played a little bit last year, but he was also injured, and they just had, a lot of issues with injuries last year, really, at the quarterback spot. But if Frank Harris can stay healthy, I think this team can achieve its goals. It's just that big question, right? Can this quarterback group stay healthy? They have capable guys behind them in Atkins, Narcisse, Lowell Narcisse, and some others behind them. And I think if Frank Harris can stay healthy, this offense can achieve what they want to do.
On the other side of the ball, the defense, this is an interesting kind of situation where you've got some playmakers that I think are back that are kind of sturdy. I think of guys like Jalen Haynes at the nose guard position. They've got another number of other players that are kind of solid columns and foundational pieces, and they're going to kind of filter in some of the new guys. You go on along with basically promoting Rod Wright and Jess Lepp to be co-defensive coordinators. This was a defense that I think was overall mostly solid last year. What is the feeling? What is the vibe around the defense for UTSA right now?
Something that Traylor kind of harped on all spring was the depth at their defense, right? He kind of mentioned they had some things to shore up on offense, depth-wise, but he always kept saying that he felt very good about his depth at defense, and it kind of shows. They did bring back everybody, literally, from that defense from last year. Guys like Jalen Haynes, Lorenzo Dantzler at the defensive line spot, Ligon and Harmonson at linebacker, and, of course, Wisdom at safety, along with a couple cornerbacks. Everybody's coming back, so that depth is there. They've added a lot more depth also at linebacker with a couple Kansas transfers at linebacker and in a couple other spots, and they're looking to bring on more depth in the defensive line in the summer. So I think this unit, like you said, it didn't stand out on paper, but they were pretty solid all year long. They didn't really let out huge amounts of points and yards. They weren't one of the best in the conference by any means, and their sack numbers weren't there really, but they were solid. So what they're hoping is for this defense to take that next step with the continuity of the players coming back, plus some familiar faces at the coordinator spots with Rod Wright and Lepp. So there's definitely some optimism there as well, just of everybody that's coming back and the coaches that are there as well.
I know you're also a guy there at birdsup.com. You do a great job covering the recruiting side for UTSA. We knew that Jeff Traylor, as we've mentioned, with the great connections he has with high school coaches and the deep ties he has to the state of Texas, was going to make his impact felt. I think it's safe to say they've done that. This is the top. He hauls in the top class in Conference USA in 2021. And so, can you, as far as UTSA fans are concerned, when they look at the future of the program and they see the recruits coming in, is there like a tangible excitement around what UTSA is able to do right now on the recruiting trail?
Oh yeah, and you just feel it talking to other coaches, players around the city, and just in general. It's just there's an excitement from the in a recruiting standpoint, from the fans and from the players themselves. It does feel a little bit different. They have a new facility that's going to open up at the end of the month. That's going to be, believe it or not, UTSA's first, not even football, but athletic specific building. So that's going to be huge for them. That opens up at the end of the month. So they're really playing with that as well, kind of hyping it up. And you can feel it, like you said, like I said, around the city, but then talking to coaches around the state as well. Their players are interested in UTSA, and just by talking to a couple people, UTSA can be a little selective this time around. Whereas before it was kind of like, hey, let's go out recruiting as this middle of the road G5 team, right, in Texas. Now they can be a little bit more picky with the resume from last year heading into this year with the new facility coming up with Jeff Traylor. Obviously, the hype around him is pretty big right now, as you guys know. So everything's kind of culminating into a little bit of a storm for him. So it's going to be very interesting in the recruiting front how they're going to play into that, right? They're going to start hosting recruits as early as tomorrow on some big names around the city. So I'm going to be very interested to see how that plays out by in December and February, because they have been told they are going to be a little bit pickier because of the super senior thing and because the class has to be a little bit smaller to account for the numbers. So they're going to have to be a little bit smaller, but it's going to be interesting to see how he uses the hype around the program to boost that for him.
And finally, I'm going to put you on the spot here. And looking at the 2021 class, do you want to go on record? Is there one guy in this class that you're really excited about and you think could be that breakout star that we're that people are like, that was actually the gem of the class when you look at the 2021 class that UTSA hauled in?
Man, that's a tough one. Like you said, they got some great players to come in last year. I think Eddie Lee Marburger, of course, he might not get to play obviously because of the depth in front of him. He's a name to look out for. But a guy like Ron Tatum, if he's able to join the team in the summer like he's expected to, I think he can really solidify that defensive line and kind of make a three-headed monster there with Haynes and Dantzler, and to maybe taking that defensive line from being okay in the conference to maybe taking that next step and being one of the better defensive lines in the conference. So I think a guy like Ron Tatum can definitely make a big impact for this team.
He's Javi Cardenas. You can find his fine work at birdsup.com, and of course, follow him on Twitter at RivalsJavi. Javi, appreciate your time, my friend. Thanks very much.
Thanks, guys.
There he goes, Javi Cardenas of birdsup.com. Join us to give the state of the program address there at UTSA. And obviously, there's a real buzz, at least since they launched. There's obviously buzz when they started playing football. But there's a real buzz around UTSA, and not just from, like, football hipsters like us, right? Not just from, like, me sitting here being like, UTSA is actually fun. Like, there's people noticing what's happening down there. What Jeff Traylor's got cooking there.
To say your boy Godfrey, he was talking about that on the Split Zone Duo podcast about that's it. That was a national football podcast, and they're going, you want a team to look out for?
Him and Richard Johnson are all bought in on UTSA.
Yeah, as they should be.
But there's a lot of excitement, a lot of buzz down there in the Alamo City around UTSA, and can't wait to see what they do here. And I'm like, I think it helps. Part of the thing that also helps is like they've got the guy. You can be like, oh no, Sincere McCormick. Like if you tune in for nothing else, just tune in to watch Sincere McCormick because he's that good. Conference USA Player of the Year last year. He's poised to do it again. Could be even better this year. So we appreciate Javi Cardenas of birdsup.com for being our guest. Let's go over to Ashley Pickle for America's second favorite segment. Final thoughts.
I thought about something while you were doing your...
Did it hurt?
No. While you were doing your pitch. Father's Day is coming up this month. So if you're talking about...
a week from Sunday.
It's the 20th.
Right?
Yeah, it's June 20th.
No, I lied to you. It is
June 20th.
2 weeks from Sunday.
Yes.
2 weeks from
So
Sunday.
if you need a present, go ahead and get it done and
Yes.
subscribe. Like, if you need, that is
Yes.
the
That's the Father's Day present.
ultimate reason to subscribe. Get it for your
and,
dad.
And I'll just say this. Look, I don't know your financial situation, loyal viewer and listener. I don't know your financial situation. This is like the right price point for a Father's Day gift.
Yes.
Not too much because you don't want to go crazy. But it's not
it's-
so cheap that you're like, oh, well, you know, a little.
Yeah,
knick-knack.
thanks for nothing, Dad.
Yeah,
Here's
exactly.
a $5 gift
Right,
card. Like,
exactly.
this is the
This is that
perfect
right
Father's
price
Day.
point.
Go ahead and get it done.
TexasFootball.com/subscribe. And, of course, be here on Friday for the exclusive cover reveal of the 2021 summer edition of Dave Campbell's Texas Football, when we reveal that, yes, Ashley Pickle's on the cover. We did. The first girl on the cover of Dave Campbell's
Cover
Texas
girl,
Football. We did.
cannons.
That's right. That's going to do it for us. Thanks for spending a little bit of your day with us. Follow us on Twitter at DCTF. Like us on Facebook, Facebook.com/Dave Campbell's. Follow us on Instagram, Instagram.com/Dave Campbell's. And, of course, see us at TexasFootball.com. Thanks again to Javi Cardenas of BirdsUp.com for being our guest. For Ashley Pickle, I'm Greg Tepper. Vince Young, please come get your Player of the Year trophy. We will see you tomorrow on Texas Football Today.